Roux's is proud of the creativity and the unparalleled entertainment in New Orleans, and honored to highlight it with their sponsorship of Steppin Out on WYES.
Steppin Out is made possible in part by Susie and Pierre G. Villery.
With a lifetime of passion for public television, we're pleased to help underwrite Steppin Out.
Please join us in supporting WYES TV.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Poppy Tooker with an exclamation point, host of Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Hey, Miss Poppy.
Hey,
hello. John Alexander. He is the editor and director of a very special show called Little Satchmo. And this documentary concerns Mrs. Sharon Preston-Folta, that is, life. And it turns out she is the daughter of Louis Armstrong, and we'll tell you more about that, and that program's going to air Monday evening on WYES. Hey, John, welcome. Glad you're with us.
Thanks so much for having me, Peggy.
Hi there,
Appreciate
of course.
It.
And Alan Smason, editor of the Crescent City Jewish News and theatercriticism.com. Howdy,
Hey.
Alan. And later in our program, an interview and performance by Tony Award winner Michael Cerveris and Big Easy Award winner singer Kimberly Kaye with the band Loose Cattle. They're performing this weekend at the Broad. Poppy, you have got some downtown restaurant scoop.
Well, we have another big hotel opening in this city, and this new hotel is called Canopy by Hilton. It is downtown in the former oil and gas building on Tulane Avenue, and I had no idea, but apparently that area was New Orleans Chinatown at one point, and so they're playing off of that historical feature, and they have a bar, a fabulous bar called the Herbalist, where you can get cocktails and gourmet coffee and pastries, etc. The dining room, the restaurant in the hotel is called Ginger Roux, and it is a Creole Cantonese concept, if you can imagine that. Crawfish boiled fried rice, gumbo dumplings, crawfish étouffée shumai. What an interesting mix-up. But anyway, that is what's new on Tulane Avenue. What I'm very thrilled to say is that Couvant at the Eliza Jane is back. While we're speaking of hotels, you know, people are always looking for someplace that's going to be open. A hotel is likely to have their restaurant open. And Couvant at the Eliza Jane. Peggy, do you remember how excited I was when they opened up the first time?
Absolutely.
Because it was just for a brief shining moment before COVID. It's been closed during COVID. A perfect French bistro. And now Chef Ryan Pearson is at the helm, and all of that French food is back. You can start off with gougère, pâté à croûte, beef tartare, dry-aged duck, brioche-crusted veal. Are you getting as excited as me?
I am.
Okay,
I am.
like here's the grand finale, the Côte de Boeuf. Oh my goodness gracious, it's for two and it's just perfect. You want to take a trip to Paris? Go to Couvant at the Eliza Jane. But now for something completely different. Wishing Town Bakery and Café have opened up finally, Uptown on the corner of Magazine and Nashville. I mean, talk about international. You got Saba on one side of Nashville and Wishing Town Bakery Cafe on the other. They are open 7 days a week. You just saw their charming outdoor dining. I could live there, I think, quite honestly. Dim sum is about my favorite food, and they have everything from mini Chinese steamed buns. Those are octopus balls. They have real soup dumplings, something so hard to find and to make. You also, besides the dim sum, have choices of hot pots or soup and noodle dishes, but holy moly, don't forget you are in a bakery. Look at that chocolate toffee mousse cake. And of course, they have traditional Chinese desserts. They even have tiramisu and cheesecake on the menu, but that is what they are famous for, a meal crepe cake. Oh, that is delicious. It's just a bunch of thin crepes and yumminess in between, and you can get all of this by the slice or whole. You can get everything to go. It's like dream dim sum, and I don't have to cross the Mississippi River Bridge for it anymore. I'm thrilled.
And one in Metairie, too.
Well, one in Metairie. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about like before there was dim sum, before their Metairie location.
That's great. So they've got both of them. Wasn't that the Luna Cafe? I think that
for a long
magazine
time
in Nashville.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled about this open.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Poppy. And on Monday evening, WYES will premiere a brand new documentary called Little Satchmo. It is part of the Real South series, and it's based on the life of Sharon Preston-Folta, the daughter of Louis Armstrong. Before we visit with the director, John Alexandra, here's a trailer from the program. Let's take a look.
This is Louis Armstrong, and I know Sharon's a good girl. She better be. You, Sharon, you better be a very good girl.
I'm the only child Louis Armstrong ever had. He knew it, my mother knew it, and I know it too. Tell Sharon she is the most blessed child in the world. The only thing she will probably miss is the lovely, juicy kisses she gives to her daddy Satchmo. Tee-hee.
Why, it's Louis Armstrong. Who else?
But what I want to know, how you're feeling, and you're coming home soon. I sure would be glad to see you in a little shaver.
Publicly fawning over a child fathered with his mistress wasn't exactly an option for Louis Armstrong. He always wanted to be a father, but we had to keep it all secret.
And Little Satchmo will be shown for the first time at WYES Monday night as part of the Real South series at 9 o'clock. It's also going to be repeated on April 30th. That's right, at Jazz Fest weekend, followed by WYES's documentary, which I happen to produce, called Red Beans and Ricely Yours, Satchmo in New Orleans. So 2 hours of Satchmo. But let's talk to John. John, this is the most incredible story. I know that she came to the, Mrs. Folta came to the forefront a few years ago, but some people are still not familiar with this story. How did you and Mrs. Folta come together?
Yeah, thankfully it was our very responsible and proactive producers that brought us together. Leah Umberger and J.C. Guest. I had collaborated with J.C. on my last film, This Is Love, which was another feature documentary, and Leah found that film and connected us with Sharon, and super honored to have been the one selected to bring Sharon's voice to the forefront.
Now, her mom, whose name was also Lucille, and Armstrong ended up having the same agent, the same manager, Joe Glazer. And after her mom's first husband died, they all kind of knew each other, and so they became close. Armstrong and Lucille became close. But they did have an affair for many years, but she always hoped that Armstrong would get divorced from the other Lucille and marry her. It never happened, but he still supported them, didn't he?
That's right. Yeah, it never happened. She didn't only hope for it. Satchmo actually, sent outpourings of letters and recorded tapes, expressing this exact, sentiment of love to the other Lucille, as she's known, his mistress, and dangled a promise for marriage, which of course never came. But he definitely kept that hope alive. That's right.
I guess we are so blessed because anybody who has studied the life of Louis Armstrong knows that he was a huge letter writer, signing his letters sometimes in green ink and travel with a typewriter. So to hear, and also these audio tapes, these cassette tapes, it is incredible, isn't it?
Thank you. Yes, yeah. I mean, it is incredible. It was an honor to work with it. It's like he was 50 years ahead of social media, sharing everything that he did at every waking minute, whether on reel to reel or his famous green pen ink, and a lot of that stuff, is in Little Satchmo. That's what a lot of the body of the film is Pops doing his thing, sending letters, sending recordings about his daughter, his secret daughter.
Now, her mom had been a performer, and as we said, that's how they met, because they had performed in some of the same places. But as you worked on this for so long, were there any? I mean, this is already a surprise to many, but were there any other surprises about our Armstrong's personality, or? I mean, was he shocked when he first found out, acquaintance with some of his inner feelings, if you can share?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. Really what I realized, a surprise to me, was actually how this secret really brought a new dimension to the icon of Louis Armstrong. It doesn't pander him. It doesn't take away from his legacy. It adds a new depth to something that he held very close to his heart, but he had to hide from the world. So I think, if anything, it shows more of his longing for family and his longing for children, which has been kind of glazed over by his illustrious music and performing and cultural artistic career.
In his younger years, if you've looked into the history of Armstrong, he always had a sort of a paternal side, and he actually took care of a nephew who was mentally disabled and mentally handicapped, and Clarence. And so I think, in his life, he really did want a child, didn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. Clarence is well documented. Sharon is the only other documented child that can be claimed to Louis Armstrong's name. But he actually wrote a lot of music that clues into his longing for childhood as well. Little Girl Blue, I Want a Little Girl, these songs sneak their way into the film as well. So it really reinforces Pops as Pops, who is someone who we all feel is all of our Pops. But Sharon has a really intimate look at that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been hard. I mean, now she's certainly come to terms with it, but I'm sure those were very challenging days for her too, weren't they?
It's challenging. I think it's rich. It's a father-daughter relationship, and that's one that's complex for everyone, no matter how public or private. This was just kind of a juxtaposition between the most public and the most private. So yes, it was very challenging, and we get into a lot of that drama in the film. Now,
when he did die in 1971, there were some funds that were left to her in savings bonds. Is that correct? But she was not in the will, was she?
That's right. She was not part of his will, not part of his lasting legacy. On the contrary, however, he did support her until the day he died. As you point out, he put her through college. He had a house for her, made sure she was comfortable, sent her money, monthly, sent her tickets to Broadway shows, sent her musical instruments or subsidizing music lessons, supported her his whole life. Not so much beyond that.
Yeah. Well, it's so great to have you with us, John. We'll talk a little bit later, but just a reminder, once again, Monday, 9 o'clock on WYES, and we also stream, of course. You get to see Little Satchmo. What a wonderful name, too. Here we go, Little Satchmo, 9 o'clock, and as we said, it'll be repeated on April 30th. And followed by Satchmo in New Orleans. All right, over to Alan. Alan.
Well, Peggy, rarely have I had an evening or afternoon of theater where I've been so favorably disposed as I did at the Cinderella production that JPAS is putting on. That's the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella, which is, of course, a TV show originally, with vocal goddess Rachel Looney in the title role of Cinderella, if you will, Ella. The jewel of a show with a rewritten book by Douglas Carter Bean is probably the best show JPAS has presented since The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Also doing well in the role of the prince is Jake Wynn Wilson, who just came off an impressive performance as the MC in Cabaret a few months ago. He serves the role well and is dashing in his appearance. Also commanding attention is María Hefte there on the left, who soars in her role as Marie, the fairy godmother in disguise who help Cinderella achieve her dreams. She and Rachel share the stage in an impossible to wonderful effect and great, great, great singing. And there are several other noteworthy singers such as Bailey Gabrish as Gabrielle, Brie Hollis as Charlotte, the two stepsisters. Also on the program are Rachel Abate as the Madam, Jong Hong as Revolutionary Jean-Michel, Alex Christian Lucas as Lord Pinkleton, and Tom Bond as Sebastian, the aide-de-camp to the prince. But the reason we go to see this show is not for them. It's to see the central love theme between the common girl and the prince and the music of Rodgers and Hammerstein. It really makes this a special, special production. Some of the songs include 10 Minutes to Go, In My Own Little Corner, Do I Love You Because You're Beautiful. Cinderella is not playing this weekend, I want to let everybody know, due to Easter celebrations, but it will have one final weekend not to be missed next weekend on April the 22nd through the 24th. Don't miss it. Meanwhile, Peggy, Le Petit Theater's current play is Tribes. That's by Nina Rain. The question of whether or not to mainstream a child with special needs or not has long been debated, and the characters in Tribes are really unable to deal with Billy, who is born deaf to this all-hearing family. They've chosen to ignore his disability and not given him the means to communicate through sign language. The parents are Christopher and Beth. They're played by John Neisler and Leanne Pattison. Good to see them back on a stage. They contend it's to show him he's no different than anyone else of his age. But Billy, who you see there on the left, remarkably played by deaf actor Brian Andrew Cheslick, retreats into his shell, largely unresponsive to the family. He has difficulty connecting to his sister Ruth, played by Allison Blaze, and has a problem with a codependent relationship with his schizophrenic brother Daniel, played by Danny Vorges. But there he meets Sylvia, and Sylvia is the product of a girl born to deaf parents who herself is going through a period of hearing loss. He's instantly smitten, and she teaches him how to sign, and that's when the problems set in. Billy learns to become part of an extended family of non-hearing people, but his learning to sign brings him grave challenges to his family unit, who really can no longer ignore him. He challenges them as to why they never did learn to sign for him and never did allow him to express himself. So this is the topics that are being explored. Special effects and projections by James Lanius and musical cues between scenes are all spectacular. This show does have some flaws, and the language is not at all suitable for youngsters, but it checks out again this weekend. They're going to be open for Easter, but not for next weekend, which is French Quarter Festival. And the last thing I wanted to mention for right now, Peggy, is the NOLA project. You know, every year they always sell out at their Best Off Sculpture Garden production that they have. Well, this year will not be, I think, any exception to that. They'll be having Treasure Island, that's being written by A.J. Allegra, James Bartell, and, of course, Alex Martinez-Wallace. This is going to sell out like it always does. Check it out. Go get tickets now before they are no longer available.
Okay, and Alan, I know you have a few more things you want to zip through because we're kind of getting short on time here. So you wanted to mention Waitress?
I guess I can mention UNO is putting on the production of Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
That's with Michael Cividano as Romeo and Alexandra Miles as Juliet. And then, of course, the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra. They've just released details of their 2022-23 season, but they still have quite a number of events coming up in the next few days. Let me just reel these off. Shostakovich Symphony No. 9 at the Orpheum Theater on the 21st, then on the 23rd on the North Shore. Then don't forget they're going to do the Together for Ukraine concert on Monday, April 25th. And finally, Peggy, a favorite for you and me both, the Swing in the Oaks.
Yay!
That's over at the Peristyle in City Park, and I know that everybody's going to want to get there. They have everything from Strauss to Sousa, Bernstein, and Gershwin in between. It's going to be great.
All right, thank you so much. And yesterday, actor and singer and band leader Michael Cerveris and singer Kimberly Kaye came by our studios to talk about their concert at the Broadside this Saturday. Here they are. Michael and Kimberly, it is so good to see you. I know you have quite the shindig, that's an old-fashioned word, but anyway, on Saturday at the Broadside, almost a 5-hour-plus concert. But before we get to that, what y'all been up to lately? And I kind of know, and I think everybody knows. Michael, are you okay? Because you actually had COVID.
I am. I did. After 2 years of doing everything right, it found me finally, and it was, it was rough. It was not mild, but it was short-lived because I was, lucky enough to have a doctor who got me in for antiviral infusion and monoclonal antibodies and the whole thing. So I was over it fairly quickly, but it was no joke.
Who? And Kimberly, the good news, and you all are such good buds, and of course, live in the same neighborhood. You are in the many hats that you wear. You are a nutritionist and a health coach. So I'm assuming you gave some advice to Mr. Cerveris.
If by some you mean a lot, then you're accurate. Yeah.
But all of it really good, and as a result, I healed quickly and
no
well.
lingering results.
No, not that we can tell.
So glad.
I may claim brain fog, periodically just because. But.
Yeah, got it. Now, the other thing is the Gilded Age, and I'm a real fan of the Gilded Age, and many of us are on HBO. You had a recurring role, and it looks like it's already been greenlit for the next season. You'll have even more to do, but when do you start back up in terms of
I head north May 1st to start filming season 2. We start up in Newport, Rhode Island, where we do a lot of the
How
stuff.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, so Saturday, let's talk about Saturday. Tell us who's on the roster.
We are very excited to be joined by a lot of friends. We have the A2D2 experience, which is Antoine DL and Arsène Delay together. We have the Riverbend Ramblers. We have Joy Clark, Mia Borders, Bruzy Peets, and then our stable of bovine musicians.
And your entire band will be playing towards the end.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's right. We'd somehow foolishly booked ourselves after Mia Borders, so I don't know what we were thinking.
Yes, poor choices.
Well, what's so good is that you have a pretty active Facebook, Michael, with lots of information, so all the details will be on that. Yeah. And I'm so glad, and I know, Kimberly, you do too. And now the song, Antiversary, with Michael Cerveris and Kimberly Kaye.
Listen.
Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful song. It was so great to get to visit with, of course, them yesterday. What a thrill. Saturday, 2 p.m. at the Broadside, broadsidenola.com for more information and tickets. Now time for our picks of the week. Poppy.
Well, cocktailian fanatics, listen up, because you're going to have a chance to sip and socialize with cocktail legends Degroff and Cedd Moses. There he is, the king of cocktails. And Cedd Moses is one of the top voices in cocktails on the West Coast. Thursday, April 28th from 6 until 8 p.m. at the Southern Food and Beverage Museum. They'll be signing their new books, too.
All right, thank you. John.
Hi, yes.
What are you working on? What's your next project?
Crook and Nanny Productions is our post-production and production company. We have a lot of exciting projects ranging from feature, thriller, suspense, horror films coming up, as well as a documentary on women's tackle football called Open Field. So you can find out more on. Thank you.
Will do. And we should also mention, of course, that Sharon's book was called Little Satchmo, and that is available as well. Good luck to you on this documentary, though, John. Yes, indeed.
Thank you so much.
Sure. And moving over to Alan real quick.
Peggy, New York pianist Gary Negbaur will be in town next week for a couple of shows. The first one will be at the French Quarter Festival. He has a show on Saturday afternoon at the historic New Orleans Collections Courtyard on Royal Street. That's with his trio. And then he journeys over to Casa Borrega in Central City to perform there at 6:30 to 9:30. Check that out as well, and I'll see you at the theater.
Thank you, Alan. And before my picks, a big thank you to Swiss Confectionery, wonderful bakery, for the beautiful cake that we got to celebrate with for WYES's 65th birthday. And Swiss is, of course, located on Orleans Avenue in the American Can. Now my picks. Okay. The ancient tradition of Catholics visiting 9 churches continues in New Orleans, and the Archdiocese has created a map. Go to arch-nola.org and scroll down to the NOLA News. It says April 13th. That's the date that they posted this. And that's, of course, a really exciting thing. Also, the St. Anne Shrine, the historic St. Anne Shrine, is open. It's not part of a tour, but I would say check that out, too. They've done a wonderful job renovating that. A lot of work went into that. Easter Sunday, 2 Easter parades. Even though we recently lost Chris Owens, the parade will continue. That's at 1 o'clock, beginning at the corner of Royal and St. Louis at the Omni Royal Orleans. At 5:30, the Gay Easter Parade, and that starts at St. Anne and North Rampart Street. Check out the Times-Picayune New Orleans Advocate for the actual route. Phil Melissa and Buddies have one more performance of their homage to the late local satirist Sam Adams. That's on Sunday at 7 o'clock, once again at the Monkey Hill Tavern. Funny stuff. And next Thursday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., the Friends of Lafitte Greenway are looking for volunteers to plant 100 cypress trees. Go to their website for more information. And now we leave you with the song Not Over Yet by Kimberly and Michael. And happy Easter, and thanks for watching. Good night.
I'm so damn tired of being poor.
Steppin' Out is made possible in part by Susie and Pierre G. Villery.
With a lifetime of passion for public television, we're pleased to help underwrite Steppin' Out.
Please join us in supporting WYES TV.
Roux's is proud of the creativity and the unparalleled entertainment in New Orleans, and honored to highlight it with their sponsorship of Steppin' Out on WYES.